People who work for a company everybody hates. What's it like to actually work there? Story 1. I've microwaved your fettuccine at the Olive Garden and stocked your maxi pads at Walmart. Along the way, I did a stint at that hip retailer Target. The only difference between Target and Walmart is marketing. I was so young and naive at the time. I didn't even realize Target was supposed to be cool until our shift manager told us. I mean, seriously, Target, you sell detergent and pooper scoopers. Get over your bad self already. All three establishments give off a 1984 Newspeak vibe. At Walmart, you're an associate. At Target, you're a team member. And at the Olive Garden, you're family. Frick that bull. I'm a worker, and my butt was just as expendable at one place as the other. Olive Garden euthanized more family members during my time there than Dr. Kevakian. And Target was more ruthless with cutting team members than Bill Belichick. Oddly enough, I lasted the longest at the most evil of the three, Walmart. Okay, guys, I'm curious. So why are those companies hated? Like, what are the reasons for it? I need to know. Cheese, please help me out here. Because I don't think there's many companies in England that are hated. Not that I can think of from the top of my mind. Like, companies that people talk about that are just rubbish and people dislike. I genuinely can't think of any. So I'd love to know why those companies are sort of, classed as rubbish companies or they're hated. Like, what is the point? I want to know. Story 2. I worked Dish Network customer service during college. It wasn't too bad. The reason their service sucked so much was their focus on handle time. You call in, I nod my head and pretend to care about your problem, click a few buttons and offer you a free trial of HBO. That you'll call back about after 3 months because you forgot to cancel it and it charged you. And get you off the phone in under 4 minutes. If you have an average handle time under 5 minutes there, they treat you like a god. Story 3. I just quit my job at a bank where I worked in customer service. The amount of pressure that they put on us to sell things and to be ambiguous about solving problems is shocking. I always wanted to help people more than I was allowed to, and usually just went ahead and did it. For example, a check was deposited into the wrong account by the teller, causing one client to get an overdraft fee. Managers say don't refund it because they should have caught the mistake while they were depositing the check. I refund it anyway and get written up. That's one of the millions of reasons why I quit that soulless job. Guys, I can vouch here, okay? I currently do work as a customer service assistant for a company. The company's not bad though, I can't lie. Like, they really have sorted me out with having to... Basically, I moved from my hometown to London, as you guys know, and I was able to keep the same job and just transfer and work from home. So I was really lucky that way because most of my team work in the office in, I was about to say where I lived then. Someone could have turned up and knocked on my door. No, I don't think anyone's that bothered, can't lie. But yeah, some of them still work in the office, so I got really lucky with that. But yeah, customer service jobs, bro. Ugh. Honestly, people just think you're scum of the earth. They think they can literally talk to you like you're nothing because of the job you have. It is rough, honestly. Story 4. I was working for Netflix, and sometimes I would have to take 3 Comcast calls. Happens like this. Customer calls Comcast with rebuffering problems. Comcast rep says, everything's fine on this end. Let's call Netflix. Just try to imagine the pooiness that ensues on a Comcast Netflix 3-way rebuffer call from hell. Story 5. I work for one of the Blue Cross Blue Shield plans. I think that most people hate the health insurance industry, and for good reason. This company is filled with worthless, dumb, lazy people. There are entire departments that exist simply because another department wasn't doing their job. For instance, a technology office was created that does everything that the architects and senior engineers in the different IT areas should be doing. There's an entire group that prints out incoming faxes, writes something on them, scans them, and then emails them to a different group that then manually enters the information in one of the systems. Due to a complete and utter lack of planning, we just recently purchased an additional multi-million-dollar storage array that will end up being used for test storage. An array quarter of the piece would have been more than sufficient. The bottom line, health insurance is so stupidly expensive because the companies are bloated, wasteful, and full of idiots. And if there were any real competition, they'd go out of business fast. We could easily be returning premiums to members with minimal effort, but instead we find ways to spend your hard-earned money on stupid rubbish, because we're not a profit for company and can only keep a certain amount of cash. Story 6. I worked for a telesearch company, so I would call people in their homes and ask them survey questions. It was a part-time nights and weekends job that I took after high school. Looking back, it really wasn't that bad, although every other person I spoke to thought they were so clever asking for my home phone number so they could call me back. Thanks, Jerry Seinfeld. Story 7. I worked for Best Buy for 2 years. Only thing that was worth it were the friends I made and the discount. That's about it. They treat their employees like rubbish, and we're extremely undercompensated for the rubbish we had to put up with. I still sell TVs for a locally owned company now, but actually have professional training other than what the e-learnings taught us. As far as the whole Best Buy OM goes, it's unfair what they want us to do with every customer. No one on the sales floor is on commission, but they treat you like you are. We were basically sheep that were given minimal knowledge about a certain product. Anything we did want to know, we had to learn on our own time. Which I did, because home theatre tech fascinates me. We had these worksheets called Customer Experience Worksheets, or CEWs, which we were required to fill out with every customer and turn them into our supervisors. All of them had the same cheesy questions which are supposed to give the customer the complete experience, which was complete rubbish. I rarely filled them out, and my sales numbers never dropped below our required $500 an hour in revenue. Then there was our solutions, which include accessories and services, protection plans and installation, etc., both of which needed to be at 15%, GSP and services combined, total revenue. Accessories are pretty simple and sell themselves 80% at the time. And yes, I could argue with you why a $100 HDMI cable is better than a $10 HDMI cable. Situational, of course. I never really needed to pay attention to my sales numbers. Quite frankly, because I just didn't care. When a customer walked, and this happens quite frequently if you're in a high-traffic store, you have to explain to a manager why they walked. The store general manager often posted by the exit to ask customers why they weren't buying. Then you had the conversation of what you're going to do better next time to close the sale. I didn't get any compensation for each sale, other than the occasional path to excellence points which we could spend on Best Buy rubbish. Whenever I'd ask about a raise, or bonuses, or any benefit as such, they would say, "Oh, you have a great benefit with your discount and P2E. Yeah, frick you. I can't feed my dog with reward zone points. There really is no appreciation other than the occasional high five. Like the time I put out a Best Buy for business lead that was for a local casino. That ended up being a $110K sale that benefited our store because of me. And since I was my manager's associate, she was the one who got the bonus. I got a high five. Oh, gang, there literally is nothing worse than a company that doesn't deliver the correct training, that just kind of like fobs it off. Like, I know I said my company is good, which it is good, but when I first started, the training was terrible. And it's like, it's almost as if no one can really be bothered to do it properly. But then if you make a mistake, that's it. Like, do you know what I mean? Everyone's kicking off. Like, you're embarrassed. Everyone's like, how did you make that mistake? You know, you've been told this, rah, rah, rah. But it's actually like, but I haven't though. None of you guys have trained me. You just kind of expect me to come to this new job with new people, new processes, new everything, and I'm expected to know exactly what to do. It's a joke, honestly. And things like this are when you do like loads of work or you bring in something that benefits the company and you get no recognition for it. Or, yeah, like a high five. But really, everyone needs money. The reason I'm doing this to benefit our company is so you pay me more. Like, I don't want a high five. Do you know what I mean? Story 8. American Apparel. It's probably the best retail job I've ever had, in that you're allowed to call out awful customers, as long as you're well dressed while you do it. Downside is that my assistant manager is younger and less qualified than I am and sits in the stockroom smoking weed during lunch hour. We also get monthly inspections where photographs are taken of us to make sure we haven't gained weight or changed our hairstyles to anything dramatic. The corporation is completely sleazy and shallow, but I'm a student and I really, really need the cash. And the thought of working in a fast food chain at unsociable hours is biting down on my morality more than it should. I'm sorry, they check if you've lost weight or changed your hair. What on earth is that about? Like, that's the kind of job that will give people insecurities for the rest of their time. Do you know what I mean? Like, wow. I didn't realize any retail stores would ever, like, bring in rules like that. Like, why would you ever have to do that working in a retail store? I don't understand. Anyone else? Like, why would that be a legitimate rule? Because I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why. So people, please tell me. Story 9. I worked for Audi in college. Not really a hated company per se, but I've seen plenty of complaints about the lack of bags and how the cashiers take no care in putting the grocery into the cart. Fact is, everything there was based on your cashier efficiency score. Or in layman's terms, how many items you could scan in 1 minute. They wanted scores of 30 plus, which is 1 item scanned every 2 seconds, which seems entirely plausible on paper, but you have to account the 15 seconds it takes Nana to get her 3 items from the cart to the belt. And the 45 seconds at the end when 98% of people look at the credit card scanner like it's their first time ever seeing one, and awkwardly trying to touch the screen 7 times before I had to tell them it wasn't touchscreen. Want more hours? Get a higher score. Want to become a shift manager? Get a higher score. I became the best cashier that company ever had. When the customer came up, I'd literally log out, place all of their doubles, triples, etc. into the cart with 1 item on the belt, and just speed through their poo hitting enter for multiples. You have produce? Leave it in the cart. I have all codes memorized. 3 gallons of milk? 14051, enter, enter. Bam! Poo was just thrown into carts, and I literally perfected checking people out as efficiently as possible. My average score when I left was anywhere from 55 to 57, and my district manager loved me. Offered a promotion? Declined. That job sucked. Literally 2 to 3 people running an entire grocery store. Yes, I can fully vouch for this. I worked in Lidl, not Aldi, sorry. But they're brothers, if you guys didn't know that, or cousins, I think. They're one of. But yeah, guys, I worked in Lidl before, and honestly, it's the hardest work I've ever done in my life. So they barely hire any staff, right? Because they pay so well. Like, they genuinely do pay really well, so they don't hire a lot of staff because of that reason. And it's actually quite a long application process, like getting a job in Lidl. It genuinely is. I didn't expect it to be as long as it was. I think it was like 3 different interviews and like a practical session, and then you had to go somewhere for training, which is quite far away. And then anyway, I started at Lidl, right? And there genuinely is about 3 people on the shop floor, like pulling out the orders, stocking the shelves, on the tills, whatever. But yeah, it was seriously hard work. I was a tiny human. I was probably about 16, 17 at this point. Well, I was of age to work, basically. And I was like pulling this entire pallet of heavy stock by myself round the store. And that was just expected of me. Like, they asked if I was like physically active before I got the job. I was like, yeah, because you just say yeah, don't you, to like anything to get a job. And then I realized why they were asking if I was active. I was like, yes, I'm active, but I'm not a weightlifter. I'm not a champion weightlifter. Do you know what I mean? And I have to be to work here. So you could have told me. Jeez. Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of this video and have a wonderful day. Story 10. Child Protective Services investigator for the state. The families I investigate definitely hate me for being intrusive and judging their actions as parents. The children often hate on me, the occasions I have to remove them from their home, because they don't always understand what's going on or don't want to leave their parents despite the maltreatment. The media absolutely loves to hate us and report any time they catch wind of a mistake. The public frequently loves to find out about that as well. So what's it like to work there? It's stressful, fast-paced, and every day's different, and I absolutely love it. I have to be able to think quickly and act confidently when working with families and county attorneys, judges, and others. I rely on my boss and my team tremendously. We can be cynical, have a dark sense of humour, curse frequently, and laugh at things that would make others cry, all in order to keep our sanity. The camaraderie is huge and is such an important part of being able to stay in this job. Without a supportive and understanding boss and team, there's no way I could remain in this job. Why do I do it? Because I believe 100% in the mission of my organisation, and that the work we do in CPS is necessary and right, even if we fail sometimes. No child deserves to be maltreated. Some families we can help in order to get things on track and keep the kids in the home. And other children simply cannot be kept safe at home and must be removed from the home. Our system isn't perfect, but I have never removed a child from their home without feeling confident that it was necessary to keep them safe. Story 11. I worked as a mortgage refinance processor for Wells Fargo for 6 months before I rage quit. To sum it up, I no longer find the movie Office Space so much funny as depressingly familiar. Also, every single person I work with banked with some other bank besides Wells Fargo. The simplest and most accurate way to describe what I did there would be that I sat on my bum every day sending and receiving emails and saving and organising the attachments. And occasionally I'd call someone to ask them to email something to me. On Fridays, all the fat, single, middle-aged cat ladies would bring in a bunch of casserole and Diet Pepsi. Story 12. I work at EA, which of course is particularly hated here on Reddit. You know what? I freaking love working here. Yes, it's hard work, it's stressful, and we're on constant tight deadlines, but we're making games that millions of people love and buy. Even though lots of people complain about them too. We're well paid with amazingly good benefits, and we work with a whole lot of talented people across multiple disciplines. And of course, we're making games, not boring stuff like banking software or something. And contrary to what most people think on Reddit, I'm looking at you, R-Gaming. We spend very little of our time thinking about how to screw the customer. In fact, we spend most of our effort trying to figure out how to give our customer a great experience. Yes, we care about how much money our products make, because that's how we keep our jobs, but we also recognise that the best way to make money is to make games that people are happy to pay money for. I mean, okay, if you work as a customer service assistant, right? The main aim is to give these customers the best experience, so they keep coming back. But really, all we care about is taking your money, I can't lie. So, not 100% sure that I agree with you on this one. But yeah, literally, everyone could, sort of figure out the best route for it to be as easy as possible for the customer. But all we want is you to buy our stuff, genuinely. Story 13. I work at Verizon Wireless, and it's okay. Our plans are pretty expensive, but I've worked for Sprint and AT&T and would say that Verizon has the best customer service and coverage of the 4 major US carriers. The one thing that really annoys me working this type of job is when people call in asking, "What time are you open till?" I always say that we close at 8, implying they might want to get here well before then. Without exception, they will show up with a family of 4 a couple minutes before we close, and I'm stuck at work for an extra hour. Any plans I might have had after work are now in jeopardy. Oh, this was the most annoying thing ever when I worked in Lidl. So the shop would close at 9 or 10, I think it was, but someone would actually come in, right? Someone would come in at 5 to 9 on their own and do an entire yearly shop that took hours, and we genuinely couldn't ask them to leave or we couldn't close the store until we left. And get this, right? When they did leave, we couldn't then just close up and go home. We had to clean the entire shop floor, cash up, and then go home. Honestly, the cheek of it. People, I'm talking to you. Don't turn up to a shop when it's just about to close. It's so annoying, okay? You literally have the entire day. Okay, you might have finished work late, whatever, but it's so annoying. Story 14. I used to work as a door-to-door salesman. The customers were awful. I understand you don't want to answer the door to someone selling something, but they behaved like I was Satan incarnate, eating their puppy on their porch. I had dogs siced on me. I was chased. I was threatened with I had the cops called on me, and I had trash thrown at me. I was framed for vandalism. I had one person walk behind me down the block, drunkenly bellowing over me every time I spoke to someone. But my bosses were amazing. Every Thursday when we got back to the office, they had pizza for us. Every Saturday they took us out for breakfast before our last shift of the week. And if someone was horrible to us, they looked them up in the white pages and lectured them sternly about behaving like adults. They even got some of the buttholes to apologise to us. Despite the customers and because of my bosses, it was one of the best jobs I ever had. Story 15. GameStop. They treat me well, pay me well, and I have fun with my job. Sure, the work's tedious and mind-numbing, but it's a job. Best part is explaining to parents why GTA 5 is not good for their kids. Also Watch Dogs, and the looks on the 8-year-old's face. Priceless. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos coming daily.